Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Today we are going to talk about Azure Bastion. Now let's understand what exactly Azure Bastion is. So Azure Bastion is the PaaS service of Azure that's allow you to connect to an Azure virtual machine using the browser and provide you secure and seamless RDP and SSH connection directly from the Azure portal over the TLS. Now, why we need Azure Bastion? So, traditionally, what happened when you're connecting a VM or when you need to have a RDP session, you need to use a private IP of the machine, and you have to connect to that using the using your RDP client. At the same way, if you are connecting that VM from the public IP, then you need to expose your public IP of the VM, and then only you would be able to connect it over the internet through the RDP client. So Bastion actually solved that problem specifically. When you're having Azure Bastion on your network, you can use that Azure Bastion to connect with the virtual machine using the browser. So you don't need to have a public IP on the VM. You don't need to expose the 3389 or port 22 for RDP and SSH, right? So it's provide a secure and seamless connections because it's deployed within the virtual machine, and the backend connection between the VM and the Bastion is basically happening over the private network. Well, here are the features. So you do have a RDP and SSH directly from the portal. You no need to worried about any kind of uh, having a public IP on the VM. So it's HTML5 based web client that automatically stream your local devices, and you get your RDP and SSH session over the port 443. No hassle of managing the NSGs. So when you're having a Bastion server in your environment, you don't need to worry about managing and allowing the specific public IPs to connect with the VM, managing the public IP on the VM. So you don't need to worry about those things. And then it's protect against the port scanning as well. So it's help you to manage the brute force attack, which eventually happen on the public IP. So if you not having a public IP associated on the VM and you're using a Bastion server, it will be going to allow you to fix that brute force attack, which eventually happen on port 443 or port 3389 and port 22. Well, here are the SKU. So we have a two SKU. So we have a basic one and we have a standard one. Most probably standard is looks like uh, a very important, because if you need to connect with the Windows machine, or if you connect with the RDP over the RDP, and you need to connect the Linux machine over the SSH and the RDP, you need to have the standard queue. So standard queue is the one which is become a most valuable SKU for connecting the VMs, and then having a host scaling for how many Bastion hosts you want to run in your environment according to the session you are going to have to the backend VM, and within the VNet deployed for them you have deployed the Bastion server. Well, this is how your architecture look like. So if you see, you will be going to have a connection to the portal to the Bastion. So the end user the request coming on the portal is over the 443, and then from the portal to the Bastion, and the Bastion to the portal, the connection is going on over the TLS on over the 443 with the secure socket layer, and then Bastion is deployed in the virtual network. So with the Bastion to the target VM on the backend VM, all the connection will be going to the VM through the virtual network, so which is a secure and the internal network. And then you can control if you don't want to allow a specific VM to be connect over the Bastion, and you don't want to allow them to give the access to the Bastion, you can go ahead and control that through the energy, and you can block and allow the Bastion server as well, right? So let's move to the demo. So in the demo, I would be going to show you how we can go ahead and create the Bastion server, how we can use the Bastion server to connect with the Azure VM, right? So I am already logged in with one of my Azure subscription. So in my Azure subscription, so I already have a Bastion deployed and the virtual machine deployed. So we will be going to use that as well. But let's see what is the prerequisites to deploy a Bastion server. So first of all, what you need a virtual network because Bastion is basically associated with your virtual network, then only you will be able to have a secure internal connection between the Bastion and the VM. So Bastion required a virtual network and a specific subnet for that, so that it can run the host in that specific subnet. So let's go ahead and create the Bastion. Sorry, let's go ahead and create a virtual network, and then we'll go ahead and create the Bastion server. So let's put it in the Alif demo resource group, because that's the one which I am using for this demo, and I'm putting all the resources in Alif demo resource group only. And let's put the name and then put the reason. So I'm putting everything in East US. So I'm putting this. This is the name of my VNet, and this is the location where this VNet will be going to deploy. And I'm using the default setting. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And click on create. Once your VNet is deployed, what you need to do, you need to create a one subnet for Bastion with a specific name. So there is a specific name which you need to use to define the Bastion server. If you're not using that specific name or the naming sequence, which is basically given by the Microsoft, and that's the reserved for the only for the Bastion, you will not be able to use, or you will not be able to deploy the Bastion server. Okay, so let me show you. If I go here and if I try to deploy a Bastion in the East US, 01, let's change the location to the East US, and you will see if I select the other one, it will give you the error that you don't have a specific subnet for the Bastion. So we need to create a one subnet with the Azure Bastion subnet, and that should be have a specific /26 minimum /26 for only for reserve for the Bastion server. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this subnet. So it's going to be Azure Bastion. Okay, Azure Bastion. It's Azure Bastion server. Is it Azure Bastion server, right? Let me confirm what the name is going to be. Okay, it's Azure Bastion subnet. Okay, so let's subnet, and I'm using the /24. That's fine because I have enough subnet. And then you'll go back in creating a Bastion, and you will be able to see it have automatically picked up the subnet, because the subnet name is pre-reserved for the Bastion host or the Bastion server. And then we need to create a public IP for the Bastion, because with the public IP only Bastion would be able to allow you to get the access through the portal. That's it. And then you do have a tier. So here you have a tier to specify like a basic or standard. So we are going with the standard only. And then you have a instance count, like you can go up to 50 instance for a Bastion host, right? So I'm keeping it 2 only because this is my demo. So we can define a tag. So as of now, this native client support feature is in preview, and this is something which we don't need as of now, because we only want to have the access uh, from the browser. Then let's review, and we can see or validate if our configuration is okay and the validation pass. Then we can go ahead and click on create. So once we click on create, it will be going to create a one Bastion host in the backend in specific subnet in which we have deployed this Bastion host. Okay, so let's go back. I have already deployed a one Bastion host in my environment. So this is the Bastion host. This is how it looks like. So if you click on this Bastion host, you would be able to see a few things, like what is a public DNS name, what is a public IP, in which subnet this Bastion host is deployed. At the same time, if you go under the settings, you would be able to see how many sessions are there, what is the configurations. You can go ahead and change the SKU. You can go ahead and increase the instance count for Bastion host as well. And then you do have a property to see the properties, and then you can have a monitoring stuffs, you have a automation stuff, and you have a resource health through which you can monitor the health of this Bastion server. And then metrics, you can see how many uses and memory consumption is basically for there. So that's something you can see under the metrics, and then you can basically save the logs of this Bastion host to the log analytic workspace as well, right? So let's move to the VM and see how Bastion hosts work. Let's so I have a VM deployed in the same region and in the same VNet where the Bastion host is deployed. So once I go into the VM to connect to the Bastion, what I need to do, if I click on the connect and the drop down option, I need to select the Bastion, right? Once I select the Bastion, it will automatically pick the Bastion which is deployed in the subnet. And then but what I need to do, I need to basically provide the username and password for VM. Okay, let me validate if password is correct. That password is correct, and click on connect. As soon as you click on connect, there's a new tab will be get opened, and from here you would be able to connect with the VM and will be able to do all of the works which you need to do or which you do over the RDP client as well, right? So as of now, I'm in the VM. I can do anything. If I need to install any kind of configuration, anything, I can do that, and it's working pretty fast. There is a no lag. Even if I click on close, it can be close, and if you see, the operations are pretty much smooth and the fast, and there is a no lag when I'm doing any click or moving to the one to the another tab, or doing opening the one drive, opening the C drive to D drive, and opening the files are pretty much fast and seamless, right? So this is how your Bastion host work, and how this is how you can access your virtual machine using the Bastion host. Now another thing, you can take the advantage of this Bastion host as well in the another VNet. So if you say, if you have a paired subnet, sorry, a paired virtual network, and in that virtual network you don't want to have a Bastion host, because ultimately if you're having a multiple Bastion host, you need to manage the multiple Bastion hosts, and you need to pay the cost for them, right? So what you can do, in one virtual network you can have your Bastion host deployed, and then you can connect the other virtual network over the VNet pairing, and you can take the advantage of the Bastion host from the one VNet only, and the other VNet will be able to connect to the Bastion host, right? So that's it. Now if you go back to the Bastion host, you would be able to see there is a new session is there, and you will be able to see all the information, what time it started, what is the target host, what is the resource group, what is the username, in which protocol it is, and then you can see the target resource ID as well. So this is how you can see the information, right? And you can see and monitor the sessions for your VMs which is happening through the Bastion host. Now if you disconnect this session and refresh this, it will be automatically get removed from here. It will be going to take a little bit of time, maybe few seconds. Now you can see, as soon as I have refreshed, the session is got automatically killed, and I'm no longer seeing the session in the Bastion host configuration, right? Well, that's what I have for you in demo. So in demo we learn how we can go ahead and create the Bastion host, and how we can use a Bastion host for taking the RDP session of a Azure VM. Well, I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for upcoming videos. And if you need any help, please feel free to reach us. Thank you.